The Galactic University of Sentient Species was one of the most advanced learning centers in the entire Orion sector. It floated above a blue-white gas giant, surrounded by glowing rings and hundreds of smaller satellites. Every corridor of the university buzzed with students from different planets, some with feathers, some with scales, and some who glowed faintly in the dark. They came from dozens of worlds, each proud of their history, technology, and peaceful evolution. That year, however, something new happened. A new species was joining the intergalactic education program, a species no one knew much about. The message from the Galactic Council had been brief. One human student will be joining the academic cycle. Treat them as equals. Most students didn't even know what a human was. Rumors spread through the campus long before the arrival. Some said humans were a gentle kind of primate from a small planet. Others joked that they were too weak to survive in space. No one seemed worried. When the shuttle finally arrived, dozens of students gathered near the docking bay to see the newcomer. The shuttle's doors opened with a soft hiss, and out stepped a young man wearing a simple dark jacket, a small pack slung across his shoulder, and a curious smile. He had no horns, no scales, no glowing skin. His face was smooth, his eyes sharp but kind. He looked ordinary, disappointingly ordinary. "This is the human," whispered a feathered creature named Cathari, who came from the mild planet of Yalura. "Yes," said another student, blinking its 3 eyes. "He looks soft." The human stepped forward and introduced himself. "Hi, I'm Eli Carter from Earth. Nice to meet you all." His voice was calm, friendly, and confident. He reached out his hand, but most students only stared. On their worlds, handshakes were a strange, primitive gesture. Eli didn't seem bothered. He just smiled and waved instead. The first few days went quietly. Eli attended his classes, kept notes on a digital pad, and spoke politely whenever someone asked him a question. He didn't show off, didn't argue, and didn't seem to think much of the attention around him. But his presence still drew whispers. Some students were curious, others were confused, and a few thought he was a joke. During a lecture about planetary evolution, the alien professor, Professor Herlack, a tall, 6-limbed creature with silver fur, introduced the topic of environmental adaptation. The holoscreen behind him showed images of lush alien landscapes. "Now," Herlack said, "as you all know, life adapts to survive its environment. Some species live under mild conditions. Others evolve in difficult climates. The question is, how harsh can a planet be before it becomes unlivable?" He pointed toward the students. "Anyone want to share about their homeworld?" Several hands or tentacles rose. A gentle amphibian from Pelura spoke first. "My world is covered mostly in shallow seas. Our biggest danger is mild storms, but they come once a century." "Excellent," said the professor. "That's a stable Class 3 environment." Then a reptilian student spoke. "Our planet has 2 suns, but our people have thick scales to handle heat. Still, we rarely see temperatures higher than 40 degrees. "Remarkable adaptation," the professor said, pleased. Finally, his gaze turned toward Eli. "And you, Mr. Carter, tell us about Earth. What kind of environment produced humans?" Eli looked up from his notes. For a second, he seemed unsure how to answer. Then he gave a small smile. "Earth," he said slowly, "is complicated." A few students chuckled softly. "Complicated," one said. "You mean unstable?" Eli shrugged. "Something like that." Professor Herlack tilted his head. "Could you elaborate, please?" Eli hesitated again. He didn't want to sound dramatic. After all, these were his classmates, and he didn't want to frighten them or seem like he was bragging. But curiosity filled the room, so he finally said, "It's easier to show than explain. Maybe I can prepare a presentation later." The professor agreed. "Very well, Mr. Carter. We look forward to learning more about your world next session." That night, the topic spread across the campus like wildfire. In the dining hall, students sat in small groups, whispering and trading theories about Earth. "What do you think he meant by complicated?" asked a crystalline being from Arthas. "Maybe his planet is unstable. Maybe the gravity shifts or the air is toxic," said another. "I think he was just being dramatic," muttered Cathari. "Look at him, no armor, no claws, no exoskeleton. I doubt he could survive a day on my planet." Their laughter echoed softly through the metallic hallways. But not everyone laughed. A few thoughtful students noticed something different about the human. Though he looked soft, His eyes carried a quiet steadiness, a kind of calm that most of them couldn't explain. Days passed. Eli studied hard, listened carefully during lectures, and often stayed behind after class to talk to the professors. His curiosity impressed many teachers. He asked deep, detailed questions about biology, physics, and technology. But he rarely spoke about Earth, until one afternoon when Professor Herlock reminded him about the presentation. "Ah, yes," said the professor, looking at the schedule. "Tomorrow Mr. Carter will share with us insights about his homeworld, Earth." A murmur ran through the room. Finally, everyone would learn what made this new species different. Eli just nodded. "I'll do my best." That evening, he sat in his dorm room overlooking the stars. His roommate, a gentle plant-based being named Thero, watched him type on his pad. "You seem nervous," Thero said, his leaves fluttering slightly. Eli chuckled. "A little." "I don't want to scare anyone." "Scare?" "Why would your planet be scary?" Eli looked out the window. Far below, the glowing gas giant spun slowly, its storm stretching for thousands of kilometers. "Because Earth isn't gentle," he said softly. "It's beautiful, but it's dangerous too." Thero tilted his head. "Dangerous how?" Eli smiled faintly. "You'll see tomorrow." The next day, the lecture hall was full. Students packed the seats, some even standing by the walls. Everyone wanted to hear what the human would say. The university's broadcast drones floated near the ceiling to record the event. Eli stepped to the front of the room. His hands rested calmly on the control pad of the holo projector. The professor nodded for him to begin. Eli cleared his throat. "Good morning, everyone. You wanted to know about Earth, so let's start small, literally small." A holo image appeared behind him, a buzzing insect. "This," he said, "is a mosquito. Tiny, right? But it's killed more humans than all wars in our history combined." Gasps echoed in the room. Some students leaned forward. Others blinked their eyes in disbelief. "Wait," said one. "That creature looks harmless. How could it kill anyone?" "It carries microscopic parasites," Eli explained. "They cause diseases, malaria, dengue, things that make you very sick. Before we had medicine, millions of people died." A nervous silence filled the hall. Then Eli smiled lightly. "That's just insects. There are also predators, creatures with claws, fangs, venom, and strength far beyond ours. There are storms that can destroy entire towns, volcanoes that can darken the sky, earthquakes that split the ground open. It's a tough place to live." The aliens looked stunned. Professor Herlock blinked his silver eyes slowly. "And yet your people survived?" Eli nodded. "We did more than survive. We adapted. We learned to build, to fight the elements, to keep moving forward. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be here." The class sat in complete silence. Even the usually noisy Cathari didn't say a word. Eli ended the presentation with a simple statement. "That's why I said Earth is complicated. It's beautiful, but every living thing there learns early how to fight for its place. I guess that's what made us who we are." As the holo screen faded to black, the students stared at him speechless. For the first time, none of them thought the human looked weak. There was something behind that calm smile, something steady, unshakable, and ancient. When he left the room, the whispers started again. But this time they were different. "Did you hear what he said about his planet? He called it beautiful, even though it sounds like a nightmare. How could anyone live there?" And somewhere, deep inside the Galactic University, a new term quietly formed in the data files of the biology department. Earth, Class 12 Hazard World, also known as a death world. The next day, whispers about Earth spread through the entire university. Everywhere Eli Carter went, eyes followed him. Some students looked curious, some nervous, and others simply amazed. The story of the death world student had already reached every classroom, research lab, and even the professors' lounges. In the dining area, students gathered around their tables, speaking in low voices. "Did you see the images?" said a tall, blue-scaled student. "That little flying creature killed billions." "I can't believe they live with such monsters," muttered another, tapping its claws nervously. "Even the ground shakes beneath them, and they still build cities." A soft laugh came from the corner. "He must be exaggerating," said Cathari, the feathered student from Yalura. "No planet could be that dangerous. Maybe he wanted attention." But not everyone agreed. Thero, Eli's quiet plant-based roommate, looked up. "Eli doesn't lie. I think he just told the truth." Cathari frowned. If that's true, then humans must be mad. Thero tilted his leafy head. Maybe. Or maybe they are just strong in a different way. While the students argued, Eli sat quietly in the library. His presentation had gone far beyond what he expected. He never meant to frighten anyone. He just wanted to explain his home. But now, wherever he went, aliens whispered the same word, DEATHWORLD. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. DEATHWORLD, he said softly. That sounds worse than it really is. A familiar voice came from behind him. Perhaps. But it also sounds true. Professor Herlack stood near the shelf, holding a datapad in 2 of his 6 hands. His fur shimmered slightly under the warm lights. Mr. Carter, he said, walking closer. Your presentation has caused quite the storm. I noticed, Eli said with a small smile. I didn't mean to scare anyone. The professor's eyes gleamed with interest. You did not scare them, Eli. You made them think. Most of my students come from safe, gentle worlds. They have never known real danger. To them, your world sounds impossible. Eli leaned back in his chair. It's not impossible. It's just home. The professor nodded slowly. Perhaps you can tell them more. You see, knowledge erases fear. I would like you to speak again. Show them how humans adapted to such a place. Eli thought for a moment, then nodded. All right, Professor. I'll do it. The next lecture hall was even more crowded than before. Students filled every seat, curious and excited. Even staff members joined, sitting quietly at the back. A large holoprojector hovered in the middle, waiting for Eli's input. When he walked to the front, murmurs rose across the room. But he smiled politely and began. Last time I told you that Earth can be dangerous. Today I'll show you how humans learned to live with it. He pressed a button, and the hollow screen lit up with images of tall mountains, wide deserts, deep oceans, and thick jungles. This is Earth, Eli said. Every part of it is different. Some places are freezing, others are burning hot. We have forests, storms, volcanoes, and creatures that could crush us. But humans spread everywhere. Why? Asked a student from the crowd. Eli smiled. Because we wanted to understand it. We wanted to see everything, even the dangerous parts. He showed pictures of early humans hunting animals far bigger than themselves, building fires in caves, crossing frozen lands. When we were weak, we worked together. When nature tried to stop us, we found a way around. We learned to use tools to make weapons to build homes that could stand against the wind and snow. A quiet voice came from the back. You fought your own planet? In a way, Eli said. We didn't fight to destroy it, we fought to survive with it. Sometimes we lost. Sometimes we won. But we never stopped trying. The audience sat still, listening closely. Eli continued, showing clips of human inventions, ships sailing across stormy seas, aircraft flying through lightning, astronauts stepping onto the moon. Even now, he said, we still chase the unknown. Maybe that's why I'm here, because we humans don't like staying still. A few students nodded slowly. Others whispered to each other in disbelief. But, Eli said, pausing, it wasn't just the planet that was hard. Sometimes it was each other. Life on Earth taught us that cooperation was the only way forward. Alone, a human can die easily. Together, we can survive almost anything. Professor Herlack smiled proudly. Remarkable, he murmured. Eli looked around the hall. Every species here has its own kind of strength. Some have claws, some have armor, some can fly. Humans don't have any of that. What we have is this, he tapped his head, and this. He placed a hand over his heart. We think, we feel, and we keep going even when everything tries to stop us. For a moment, the room was silent. Then one student raised a hand. It was Cathari, looking unsure but curious. You said your planet has so many dangers. Why don't you just leave? Why not move to a safer world? Eli smiled gently. Because Earth is our home. We love it, the sunsets, the oceans, the smell of rain. It's not just danger. It's beauty too. Every risk, every challenge made us who we are. We don't want to escape that. A few students nodded in agreement. For the first time, Cathari looked thoughtful instead of mocking. After the lecture, the hall filled with quiet conversations. Students surrounded Eli asking questions. What's a volcano like? Is it true your air has storms strong enough to destroy buildings? Do you really have animals with teeth as long as your arm? Eli laughed softly, answering each one. Yes, volcanoes can melt rock. Storms can destroy cities. And yes, we have big animals, but most of them leave us alone if we respect them. The students seemed amazed. By the end of the day, The university's internal network was full of discussions about DEATHWORLD Earth. Research requests poured in. Even scientists from other planets started analyzing Earth's ecosystem. Some doubted the data. Others simply couldn't believe a fragile-looking species could come from such a brutal environment. But Eli didn't let it bother him. He was glad they were learning. That night, as the artificial lights dimmed and the stars outside the window glowed softly, Eli and Thero sat together in their dorm. Thero looked thoughtful. "Your planet sounds so full of pain and beauty. It must have been hard to live there." Eli leaned back in his chair. "It was. But that's the thing about being human. We grow stronger because of the hard parts. We don't give up." Thero's leaves shimmered faintly. "On my world, we hide from storms. We wait until they pass. But you humans, you build your homes in the middle of them." Eli chuckled. "Maybe we're stubborn. Maybe you're brave," Thero said quietly. Eli didn't answer, but he smiled. The next morning, Eli walked across the courtyard. Dozens of alien students waved at him, some greeting him with their native gestures. Others asked questions about Earth or requested to study human engineering. For the first time, no one laughed behind his back. He had become something new, not just the human exchange student, but a symbol of survival and strength. The one who came from the death world and smiled through it all. Professor Herlock watched from the balcony, his silver eyes thoughtful. He spoke softly to another teacher beside him. "Do you see it now? The humans are not dangerous because they fight others. They are dangerous because nothing can make them stop trying." The other professor nodded slowly. "A species shaped by hardship, resilient beyond measure." Herlock looked at Eli again. "Yes," he said softly. "And the galaxy has no idea what they're capable of yet." That evening, Eli received a message from the Galactic Science Council. They wanted him to attend a special seminar to discuss the classification of planetary danger levels. They were adding a new category based on the data from Earth. Class 12, Death Worlds, habitable but extremely hazardous. Homeworld of humanity. Eli read the message, smiled, and whispered, "Guess that's official now." Thero blinked his green eyes. "Does that bother you?" "Not at all," Eli said. "If anything, it makes me proud. We survived what they call impossible. Maybe that's what it means to be human." He turned off the light and looked out the window. The stars shimmered like tiny fires in the endless dark. Somewhere out there, dozens of safe, peaceful worlds existed, but none could ever match the wild, beautiful chaos of Earth. And in that moment, Eli Carter, the first human at the Galactic University, felt something deep inside him, a quiet pride for the small blue planet that raised him. The galaxy might call it a death world, but to him it would always be home. The next few days at the Galactic University felt different. Wherever Eli Carter walked, the crowd's mood shifted. Some students moved aside respectfully. Others watched him with silent curiosity. The word Death Worlder had become almost a title. It carried both fear and fascination. At first, Eli didn't understand the change. When he sat in the dining hall, his tray untouched for a moment, he noticed that conversation stopped whenever he entered. A few brave students approached him for questions, but many others whispered from a safe distance. He sighed softly. "Great," he muttered. "Now I'm the scary one." His roommate Thero rustled his green leaves gently. "They don't mean harm," he said in his calm voice. "They just realized your kind is stronger than they imagined." Eli looked up. "But we're not monsters, we just learned to live with hard things," Thero smiled. "That, Eli, is exactly why they are afraid, and why they admire you." Later that day, Professor Herlock invited Eli to a research meeting. The professor's office overlooked the shining rings of the gas giant below. Several scientists from different planets sat around the circular table, holographic notes floating before them. "Mr. Carter," said the professor, "your description of Earth has inspired a full study. We've reviewed your data and confirmed it. Earth indeed has higher gravity, denser atmosphere, and far more natural dangers than most habitable worlds." One of the scientists, a thin, gray-skinned being named Dr. Vell, leaned forward. "What we cannot understand," he said, "is how your species managed to thrive under those conditions. Logic suggests you should have gone extinct long ago." Eli thought for a moment before replying. Maybe logic doesn't cover everything. Maybe stubbornness kept us alive. That earned a few soft chuckles. Herlock nodded. "We call that resilience, Mr. Carter. And it seems your species has more of it than any we've met. Another scientist raised her glowing hand. Is it true, she asked, that humans explore even the most dangerous parts of their world for fun? Eli grinned. We call it adventure. Climbing tall mountains, diving in deep seas, exploring frozen lands, things like that. The room fell silent for a moment. Dr. Vell blinked slowly. That sounds highly unsafe, Eli shrugged. Probably, but it's exciting. It reminds us we're alive. The aliens exchanged uncertain glances. To them, safety was normal. Danger was something to avoid, not to chase. But to humans, it seemed, danger was part of life. Professor Herlock finally said, Thank you, Eli. You've given us much to study. The more we learn, the more we understand that your people are not defined by fear but by the will to move forward. Eli smiled. That's one way to put it. Outside the meeting hall, students waited for him again. News of the research spread faster than light. Now every alien in the university wanted to hear about Earth's creatures, weather, and human survival stories. Some even treated him like a living legend. Tell us about your predators, one student asked eagerly. Is it true you have storms that circle your planet? Another shouted. Eli laughed softly. Yes, we have both. But not everything on Earth is deadly. There's beauty too. Forests full of life, oceans shining under the sun, mountains that touch the clouds. We live with the danger, but we also love the peace between it. His calm, honest tone made them listen. The more he spoke, the more they realized that humans didn't just survive. They thrived. A few days later, the university held a large cultural exchange fair. Every species had a chance to display artifacts, art, or traditions from their worlds. Eli decided to participate. He set up a simple booth titled, Earth, the Beautiful Death World. Inside, he placed holograms of Earth's landscapes, snowy peaks, golden deserts, green jungles, and glowing city lights. He played gentle human music in the background, something soft and emotional. At first, only a few students visited, but once they saw the images, more gathered around. The scenes were breathtaking, thunderstorms flashing over mountains, whales swimming in the deep sea, lightning dancing across the sky. A small insectoid student stared at the images with wide eyes. You said your world is dangerous, but this is beautiful, Eli smiled. It is both. The beauty and the danger come together. That's what makes it special. Cathari, the feathered student who once mocked him, approached slowly. I misjudged you, he admitted. I thought your stories were only to gain attention. But seeing this, I understand now. Your planet shaped you. Eli nodded kindly. It shaped all of us. Every human carries a little of Earth's wild spirit inside. By the end of the fair, his booth had the largest crowd. Even professors came to watch. When the event closed, he received a soft round of applause, something rare in alien gatherings. Despite the admiration, not everyone was comfortable. Some species were unsettled by what they learned. On their peaceful worlds, conflict was rare and danger almost non-existent. The thought that humans lived daily among death, yet smiled through it, made them uneasy. In the discussion rooms, debates began. One student said, humans must have evolved special defenses. Another replied, no, they said they have none. They survive through intelligence and teamwork. A third whispered, if they can survive that, imagine what they could do here. The room grew silent at that thought. A week later, the Galactic News Network released an article, Humanity Confirmed as DEATHWORLD Species, Small but Resilient Civilization from Earth Shocks the Galaxy. The article spread everywhere. Reporters asked for interviews. Researchers requested samples and data. Overnight, humanity went from unknown to legendary. Thero showed the article to Eli, his leafy face glowing with pride. You've made history, he said. Eli chuckled. I just told the truth. I didn't mean to start a storm. Sometimes, Thero said wisely, truth is the storm. Soon invitations came from other universities and research groups. They wanted Eli to speak about human endurance, psychology, and culture. Professor Herlock approved. Go, he said. Let them see what humanity truly is, Eli accepted. During one seminar, he showed a simple video of humans helping each other after disasters. Neighbors rebuilding homes, volunteers rescuing strangers, children smiling in the rain. This, Eli said, is what it means to be human. We don't just fight for ourselves. We fight for each other, His words touched many hearts. Some alien students even said his talk inspired them to study medicine, engineering, or environmental survival. But curiosity can also lead to fear. In the research department, a few scholars debated quietly. If these humans can survive so much, one said, what happens if they ever decide to expand aggressively? Could they be dangerous? Another shook his head. No evidence suggests that. They seem peaceful. Peaceful, the first repeated, but capable of enduring anything. That kind of species should never be underestimated. Eli didn't know about these whispers, but their tone was not hateful, just cautious. The galaxy had finally realized that humanity was not weak. Back in his dorm, Eli sat at his desk, staring at a photo of Earth glowing in sunlight. Thero noticed. Do you miss it? Every day, Eli admitted. The smell of rain, the sound of waves, the blue sky. Space is beautiful, but there's nothing like home. You said once that everything on Earth tries to kill you, Thero said gently. Why love such a place? Eli smiled faintly. Because it taught us what life really means. You don't appreciate peace until you've known chaos. You don't value safety until you've faced danger. Earth made us strong and grateful. Thero nodded slowly. Your people are strange, Eli Carter, but admirable. Thanks, Eli said softly. I think we're just survivors who learned to dream. That night, while he slept, the Galactic Network broadcast a new headline across nearby systems. The human from the death world, a symbol of courage and curiosity. When Eli woke the next morning, dozens of messages waited for him. Some were from alien students thanking him for inspiring them. Others were from researchers who wanted to visit Earth one day. Carefully, of course. Eli smiled at the screen. Guess they're not afraid anymore, Thero laughed quietly. Not afraid, just amazed. Later that day, Professor Herlock held a special assembly. He stood before the gathered students, his voice echoing through the hall. In the history of the Galactic University, we have hosted thousands of species, he said, but today we witness something unique. A world once unknown has shown us what true perseverance means. Humanity, born from storms and fire, walks among us not as conquerors but as learners. Remember this lesson. Greatness is not found in comfort but in endurance. Eli felt his chest grow warm. The crowd turned toward him and clapped, their version of applause, a rhythmic hum that filled the hall. He stood, embarrassed but smiling, and bowed his head in respect. From that moment on, no one doubted humanity again. They might still call Earth a death world, but now they spoke the word with admiration, not fear. The student from the deadly blue planet had changed their view of life itself. And deep inside, Eli knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast. Somewhere beyond those stars, new worlds waited. And perhaps one day humanity would walk among them. Unafraid, unstoppable, and full of hope. The day of the great seminar arrived, and the Galactic University was more alive than ever before. The halls were filled with students from across the stars, creatures of every color, size, and shape. Everyone wanted to hear the talk that had shaken the Academy, the truth about Earth, the mysterious death world. Eli Carter stood backstage, adjusting the small translator pin on his collar. He wasn't nervous. He had faced worse, school exams, storms, even camping in the wild back on Earth. Yet he knew that what he was about to say might change how the galaxy saw his species forever. The lights dimmed, and the crowd quieted. The holographic display behind him glowed with a deep blue image of Earth turning slowly in space. The announcer's voice echoed, "Welcome, students and faculty, to the special lecture, Death World Species of the Human Story. Please welcome Eli Carter of Earth." The audience applauded politely as Eli stepped onto the stage. He smiled, looking over the sea of faces, reptilian, insectoid, avian, and others he couldn't even name. Some stared with curiosity, others with unease. "Hello, everyone," Eli began in his calm tone. "I'm Eli, and yes, my homeworld is called Earth. I know many of you have read the reports, but numbers and data don't tell the whole story. Today I want to show you what it means to live on a world that doesn't want you to survive." He clicked the remote, and the hollow screen changed. A storm raged across an ocean, lightning flashing across dark clouds. "This," Eli said, "is a common storm on Earth. It's called a hurricane. The winds can tear apart buildings and the waves can swallow whole ships. Yet people still live along those coasts. Why? Because we learn how to build better houses, how to predict the storm, and how to start again when it passes. A murmur spread across the audience. One feathered student whispered to another, "They live inside those storms." Eli smiled faintly. "That's just one kind of danger. We also have earthquakes that split the ground, volcanoes that throw fire into the sky, and winters so cold they can freeze you in minutes. But none of that stopped us. We learned to fight back, with tools, with ideas, with teamwork." He showed more images. Explorers climbing icy mountains, divers deep beneath the ocean, scientists working near molten lava. Each image told a story of humans testing their limits. "When I was a child," Eli continued, "I used to think the world was trying to destroy us. But then I realized it was teaching us. Every disaster, every hardship, it made us stronger, smarter, and braver." An alien in the front row raised a trembling hand. "But why not leave your planet? Why live in such danger?" Eli paused for a moment before answering. "Because it's home, and because we love it even with all its danger. Maybe because of it. Every human born on Earth learns that safety isn't guaranteed. So we learned to make our own." The holoscreen changed again, showing humans building great cities, flying planes through storms, and launching rockets into space, "You see," Eli said softly. "Our world taught us that survival is earned. And that's why we're here among the stars. Earth's chaos shaped us into what we are. It made us explorers. It made us dreamers." In the back rows, professors exchanged glances. They had studied human biology and history for months, but hearing it from a real human, with pride and calm certainty, was different. It was not just science, it was spirit. Eli took a deep breath and said, "We call Earth the death world. But to us, it's also the world of life. Every forest, every sea, every mountain, it's alive. It fights, it grows, it heals. We learned from it. We learned to heal too." He clicked to the next slide. It showed a small human child planting a tree in dry soil. "Even in disaster we rebuild," Eli said. "That's what makes humans human." The room was silent. No one whispered now. Even the usual humming of alien translators seemed to fade. Eli felt their attention. It wasn't fear anymore. It was understanding. Then he decided to show them something no report ever did. Emotion. He played a short video from old Earth history. A city after a great earthquake. People helping each other. Strangers pulling others from rubble. Soldiers delivering food and medicine. The images were powerful. "This," Eli said quietly, "is humanity. We may live on a death world, but we never let death win. We fight for each other. That's what keeps us alive." A young alien student, eyes wide, whispered, "Your species faces the end every day, and still smiles?" Eli nodded. "Yes, because if you can smile in the middle of chaos, then nothing can break you." As the lecture went on, he explained how Earth's gravity was high, its oxygen levels dangerous, and its wildlife unpredictable. But he also told them about human creativity, laughter, and friendship. He spoke of art, music, and dreams that survived even in the hardest times. "Earth isn't gentle," he said, "but it gave us the gift of strength. We learned to find beauty in danger and peace in struggle." One professor, a tall, silver-scaled being named Professor Thaler, stood up. "Mr. Carter," he said slowly, "your people are remarkable. You turned a hostile world into a home. You mastered it." Eli chuckled softly. "Oh, we didn't master it. Earth still wins sometimes. We just don't give up trying." Laughter filled the hall, not mocking but respectful. Even the translator devices struggled to keep up with the mix of alien chuckles and human tone. When the lecture ended, the crowd gave him a standing ovation. Some clapped their claws, others waved their tendrils or flashed their light-based applause. Eli bowed his head slightly, grateful but humble. As the crowd dispersed, small groups of students stayed behind, still whispering. "Did you hear what he said? Humans rebuild after everything. Maybe that's why they explore space. They're never afraid." The university network was soon filled with clips from Eli's lecture. Across the galaxy, alien worlds watched the calm human speaking proudly about his dangerous home. Some were amazed, others were unsettled, but all were curious. By the next morning, the headlines spread across galactic news networks. Earth, confirmed death world. Humanity, masters of survival. Eli became an unexpected celebrity. Everywhere he went, beings would move aside in quiet respect. Some asked him for interviews. Others simply nodded as he passed, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and admiration. But Eli didn't change. He still attended classes, still helped others with their research, and still smiled when people asked him questions. He wasn't trying to make anyone afraid. He only wanted them to understand what being human meant. A few days later, Professor Thalor invited him to a private meeting with the University Council. The professors wanted to learn more about human psychology. "Mr. Carter," Thalor said, "your lecture has changed the way many of us see your species. But tell us, how does humanity handle fear itself?" Eli thought for a moment, then answered softly, "We don't avoid fear. We face it. On Earth, being afraid doesn't mean we stop moving. It means we move carefully, but we keep going." One of the council members, a being with crystal skin, tilted his head. "You make fear sound like a teacher," Eli smiled. "It is. Every time we survive something terrifying, we learn something valuable. And next time, we're stronger." The professors exchanged impressed glances. One said quietly, "Perhaps that is why humans are explorers. You learned courage from your own world." Eli nodded. "Yes, we didn't become brave by choice. We became brave because we had to." After that day, the galaxy began to view Earth not as a dangerous curiosity, but as a birthplace of resilience. Students started calling it the Forge World, a place that forged strength. Out of chaos, Eli often found messages from strangers, across distant systems, aliens, thanking him for inspiring them to face their own fears. Some even started small human resilience clubs on their planets, where they practiced human-style teamwork and problem-solving. Eli couldn't help but laugh at that. "We used to be the species everyone ignored," he told his friend Karen, a plant-like alien. "Now they're copying us." Karen smiled, her leaves rustling. "They don't copy you. They admire you. You taught the galaxy that fear doesn't mean weakness, it means life." Eli looked out through the window at the stars. "Maybe that's the real lesson Earth gave us," he said. "If we can survive home, we can survive anywhere." That night, alone in his dorm room, Eli opened a small window showing Earth, a blue and green marble shining in the dark. He felt a quiet pride in his heart. The world that had once been seen as violent and wild was now a symbol of strength, and though he was far away from it, he whispered softly, "Thank you, Earth. You made us what we are." The day started like any other at the Galactic University, but a sudden alarm changed everything. The volcanic research station orbiting a distant planet, Volcaris 7, had suffered a catastrophic shield failure. Sensors reported molten lava pouring across the station's surface, smoke filling the air, and unstable magnetic storms affecting communications. Scientists trapped inside sent out frantic signals. Evacuation seemed impossible. The council quickly assembled a team. Experts from across the galaxy debated strategies: force shields, teleportation, drone rescues. But the task was nearly hopeless. The volcanic eruptions were unpredictable, the terrain deadly, and the storms constant. Every plan seemed too risky. Eli Carter, sitting quietly in his dorm, received the transmission. He read the situation, then looked at Professor Herlack. "I can help," Eli said simply. The room went silent. Professor Herlack raised a metallic hand. "Eli, this mission is extremely dangerous. Even the most experienced species here hesitate." "Are you sure?" Eli nodded. "Yes. Compared to Earth, this is manageable." The room fell into stunned silence. Manageable? To aliens who had never faced true environmental danger, the statement was both bold and terrifying. But the professors saw something in Eli's eyes, a calm certainty they had come to trust. Within the hour, Eli boarded a specially designed transport craft. It was equipped for extreme heat, seismic instability, and toxic gas exposure. Alongside him were a few volunteers from other species, carefully chosen for their skills. Despite their experience, every member of the team looked uneasy. "Are we sure about this?" whispered Cathari, his feathers bristling nervously. "We've never even touched lava before." Eli smiled gently. "Don't worry. Just follow my lead, and remember, plan, observe, act." The craft rocketed through space toward Volcaris 7. Below, the planet's surface roared with fire. Rivers of molten rock glimmered like liquid sunlight, and plumes of smoke spiraled into the red sky. It was chaos made physical, yet Eli didn't flinch. He remembered Earth, its storms, earthquakes, and volcanoes. He had climbed mountains under blizzards, waded through rivers during floods, and hiked across burning deserts. Compared to that, this volcanic planet was just another challenge. As the transport approached the station, alarms blared and the floor trembled beneath their feet. The landing pad was half destroyed, and parts of the station's walls had already collapsed. The other team members gripped their control panels tightly, their eyes wide with fear. "Eli, we can't get close. It's too dangerous," shouted one of the pilots. Eli leaned forward calmly. "We have to. The scientists are alive and we can't leave them." Using his knowledge of environmental hazards, he guided the craft through narrow corridors of smoke and lava. He monitored every shift of heat and every tremor. He directed the team to reinforce shields, time jumps, and maintain stable hover. Step by step, they moved closer to the trapped scientists. Finally, the transport touched down on a small solid section near the station. The doors opened and the heat rushed in, but Eli moved first. He led the team through collapsing metal corridors, dodging molten sprays and falling debris. Inside, the scientists were alive but panicked. Their breathing equipment was failing, and alarms blared continuously. Eli calmly assessed the situation. "Everyone stay together," he said firmly. "Follow my instructions exactly. We'll get out safely." One young scientist gasped. "You're not afraid?" Eli smiled. "Afraid? Maybe, but fear doesn't stop us. On Earth, we face worse every day." That simple statement seemed to inspire hope. The scientists followed his lead, trusting the calm human who appeared almost fearless amidst the chaos. Eli coordinated the team to carry injured scientists, secure the equipment, and navigate the unstable terrain. Lava streams shifted unpredictably, and debris threatened at every step, but he moved with precision, guiding everyone with confidence. When a collapsing corridor blocked their path, Eli quickly found an alternative route through a maintenance tunnel. "Stay close. Watch your footing," he called. The team followed, amazed at how he seemed to anticipate every hazard. Outside, the transport hovered, waiting. Eli led the group through the smoke and heat, carefully timing jumps to avoid falling molten rock. He instructed the team to carry those who were too weak to move, while he helped stabilize sections of the path. Finally, they reached the edge of the landing pad. The molten rivers below roared like dragons, but the transport was ready. Eli signaled, and one by one the scientists and team members boarded. As the last scientist stepped inside, the pad shifted slightly. Eli's quick reflexes allowed him to grab a handhold, pulling himself into the craft just before a section of lava erupted beneath them. The doors closed, shields engaged, and the craft lifted off. Smoke and fire swirled below as they escaped the deadly surface. The team let out a collective sigh of relief. Kathari, still trembling, whispered, I don't know how you did that." "You weren't just brave, you were unreal," Eli smiled modestly. "I just knew what to do. On Earth, we've learned to survive in the impossible." That's all. Back at the university, news of the rescue spread immediately. The council convened to review the mission. Footage of Eli leading the team through the lava-strewn corridors was broadcast across the galaxy. Scientists, students, and civilians watched in awe. Aliens who had once dismissed humans as fragile now saw them in a new light. The stories were everywhere. The human who faced fire and smoke without fear. Earth-born hero saves scientists on volcanic planet. DEATHWORLD student defies impossible odds. Professor Herlock watched with pride. Eli Carter has not only represented Earth, he has shown the galaxy what humanity truly is. Resilient, resourceful, unbreakable. Eli remained humble. "I just did what anyone from Earth would try to do," he said quietly. "We face danger every day. We learn to survive, and we never stop helping each other." The next few weeks were filled with messages from alien worlds. Some asked for interviews. Others requested guidance on disaster response. Many scientists began studying human techniques for dealing with extreme environments. Some even started calling Earth the master of survival. Students at the university treated Eli with a mix of respect and awe. He became more than a guest. He was a teacher, a symbol, a legend. Wherever he walked, whispers followed. The human from the death world. One evening, Eli sat with Thero and Karen on the observation deck, overlooking the galaxy. "Do you realize what you've done?" Karen asked. "You've changed the way everyone sees your species." Eli shrugged. "I just shared the truth. We survive because we have to. We explore because it's who we are, and we help because we can," Thero nodded. "Still, the galaxy respects humans now. They know your strength is not just physical. It's in your mind, your heart, and your will. Eli looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth. Our planet taught us that life isn't easy, but it also taught us that no challenge is impossible if you work together. Maybe that's the lesson the galaxy needed. Months later, Eli was invited to speak at a galactic assembly. Leaders from dozens of worlds gathered to hear about humans. He stood before the crowd, composed and confident, and spoke simply. Humans live on a death world. We have faced storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, disease, and wild creatures. Yet we survive. We rebuild. We help each other. And we explore the unknown, because giving up is not an option. That is who we are. That is what Earth has taught us. And that is why perhaps humans can thrive anywhere, even among the stars. The hall erupted with applause, holographic banners flashing. Respect humanity. Respect survival. Respect Earth. Even the most skeptical leaders nodded in admiration. Across the galaxy, the legend of the Death World human grew. Eli returned to his dorm that night, looking out at the endless stars. Somewhere out there, countless planets waited to be explored, and he knew that humanity, shaped by the harshest homeworld, was ready. He smiled softly. Earth didn't make us soft. It made us unstoppable, and now the galaxy knows it too. For the first time, Eli felt that humans had fully claimed their place among the stars, not as fragile beings, but as survivors, explorers, and dreamers. And somewhere, deep in the databanks of the Galactic University, a new entry was added to the records. Humanity, born on a death world, tested by fire, respected by the galaxy. Eli Carter turned off the lights, content. The galaxy had learned the truth. Nobody feared humans, until they understood what it took to survive being one.